very thinly traded, about 72-hour stretch here as it's Labor Day weekend. So happy Labor Day weekend to everybody who's a laborer out there. Make sure you take advantage of this weekend. When I used to be a laborer, this was basically the only weekend during the summer we couldn't work. We weren't allowed to. But it's a very important time for the ones who are very in the labor force. It's a very difficult profession. You don't know what you're going to be doing, whether you're doing cable lines, you're burying, you're doing construction. So many different jobs you could be doing. It's very exhausting, but it's definitely worth it when you look at it more than just a paycheck, because you can see, like, even if you're just putting in internet lines or cable lines or things like that, you're heck, just a lot of different things, because you're giving a service to somebody else. So like if there wasn't somebody doing what I just mentioned, I wouldn't be able to do my shows. And I used to do that, which is ironic. I put all these cable lines and fiber lines down in this area where I, moved 7 years after I did all of it. So it's kind of interesting how that works. So thank you to all the laborers out there. I know it's not an easy job profession. Using your hands and grinding when probably 75% of America barely breaks a sweat at work, and it's more mentally exhausting. So thank you to everybody who's in the labor force, and enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. What we're looking at right now with cryptocurrency, I think it's pretty simple. XRP right now, and we're going to likely have, I don't know if we would just fall straight down on this thinly traded weekend. But with XRP, we fell below the pattern. And this is very, very, very dangerous. And the way we put this resistance in last night and early AM today, this makes it even more incredibly dangerous being below this right now. Because the technical target right now, and we've drawn this out for, I always say I don't mind what happens. Like, the viewership goes down when I put the bearish videos out when everything's bullish. That's okay. Because the ones who end up seeing it, you stayed so far ahead of this drop that when it was at $3.14 and $3.01, you were like, I don't know what this guy's talking about, some people were saying, but let's see how this plays out. Now that it fell out and we're sitting at 279, more people are like, I might not trust this guy yet, but I'm going to follow his channel. So I had 68 people unsubscribe from my channel 2 days ago, or yesterday, well, when they did that analytics, because it's a day late, they put it out. So what I see today is from the day before. But 68 people, I believe it was, or 62 unsubscribed when I started talking bearish, which is fine. And then now we gained back 78 since those 68 people, because the market went down. So a lot of it was probably just those people resubscribing. But then some other people decided to subscribe. But this is incredibly important. Like, it doesn't matter to me, the viewership. If you guys unsubscribe or stop watching because I put out if I put out some bearish stuff, that's whatever. The ones who need to be here are here, and then you'll see the whole entire thing. I'd rather lose subscribers from telling the truth than lie to all of you to gain thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of followers. It would be so incredibly easy in this space to get so many subscribers. Like, I could manipulate it so easily just because of how I am. And I could make it sound good. I could lead you in the wrong direction while making you think I'm a king. But, that's blood money. You're not supposed to make blood money. You're not supposed to make money at the expense of somebody else. You can make it off of somebody else, but if you start taking it from somebody else to make it your own, that's kind of cheap. Not kind of, it is. But anyhow, this short-term bear flag that formed here, if this plays out and we do get rejected at 282 on the top side up, that gives you a short-term target around 256. We already know that gap from long ago at 250, and I see some people hanging their head on it. Again, making fun of me and things like that in the comments, which I don't mind. But it's nice to talk about these things because then we can expand upon it. But saying, like, I don't understand his FVG at 250, it makes no sense, yada, yada, yada. This was a number I talked about while XRP was on that move up to $3.60 something cents, that we had never tapped that area. So that area maintains. I didn't say that's as far down as it's going. I've in fact said the technical target's $1.92. That 250 is along the way, and once we knock that out, at least it's off the piece of paper. Then we work with all the way down to that 238 gap area. Then we work our way a little bit lower. And if we get to $1.92, do we hold that, or do we run our way back down to $1.50 gap area? I mean, there's gaps all the way down, so you know, these are just areas of support that we're able to hold in past cycle on the way up, or on this current cycle, I should say. So it maintains a relevant point. And then you also have, hell, why stop at, you know, 250? What about the 262 above, you know? So, you know, we can always cherry pick, but if you watch my content, I literally have done 6,000 videos, and every single day since March 24th of 2021, I've never missed a day. And on most days, I do 3 pieces of content, maybe 4. So you're going to get an hour to cherry pick exactly how you want to make your narrative sound. You can cherry pick my shorts and my update videos. But unless you tell 100% the whole story, you know, it's kind of cheap. But also, I'm going to continue to say this. There's 2 things that I see notably that continue to kill retail. One, making lateral moves. And what I mean by that is being in something like, let's just say you're an H-bar. And you're like, you know, I'm between H-bar and XLM. I like both of them, but I'm just not sure which one I want. H-bar struggles for a minute, so then you flip it into XLM at the exact same rotation. Doesn't make any sense. Nobody ever got rich by just making lateral moves before moves were actually made. Now, if you would have made 700% on H-bar and you're like, you know, I want to take 1 or 2x of that return and put it into XLM because I like it, well, that's different. Or if you want to take your initial investment and then put it into XLM, that's different. You've already made 5, 6, 7x. Even if you make 1x. If you make 1x, you could take half of it, take your initial investment out, and then put it into XLM and have both. But if you're making a lateral move before movement has been made, it's a very dangerous game to play. Because then the first time XLM would drop 7% and H-bar only drops 2, you're going to double it. You're going to think about it and be like, you know, I shouldn't have done that. And then you're going to sell out of XLM, and then, or the move's going to continue with the H-bar while XLM hasn't made it yet. But you never want to make a lateral move in a bull market or in a bear market even. You're not trying to make lateral moves. If you're going to buy something and then a day later be like, you know what, I'd rather have XLM. No, you know what, that's it. You know what, that's a deadly game to play, and you're going to lose money 9 times out of 10. 98% of people who play that game are going to lose money. So, you know, and I understand everybody. Everybody keeps talking about I understand the numbers that we can play in between. There's all these support numbers. I'm simply telling you, in the pattern that was formed to break down from here, it doesn't give a rat's ass about the FVGs. It doesn't care about 2021 levels. It doesn't care about 2023 levels. It doesn't care about CME gaps. When you have a pattern set up, all it cares about is hitting that technical drop or technical rise. Everything I can tell you in between is irrelevant. Because if this pattern actually plays out to potential on the drop, forget it all. Act like you don't know shit right now. How about that? Act like you don't know anything. The technical target out of a dropout here is $1.92. Whether we want to talk about FVG gaps, CME gaps, past performance, all this other shit, doesn't matter. I don't care about any of that. I say the levels because they're there, but all I care about now, if this breaks down until it gets to $1.92, the pattern's not complete. That's all I care about. You're just shooting darts blindfolded at that point. Is that what you think this is, Cowabunga? Is that what you're saying? We're just shooting darts at this point? Is that what everybody thinks this is? I disagree 100%. We're not shooting darts. Good morning. 10:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, August 30th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. I don't know, I see this as a lot more than just shooting darts. I do. I don't waste all my time coming on here 4 times a day because I think I'm just blindly throwing a dart at a board. I didn't maintain or gain where I'm at in this current time in 25 by just throwing darts. When you throw darts, you lose money. This is much more than throwing darts. Say hi to everybody. Good morning, Dan Marginal and Michael. Thank you both for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Dwight, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Dwight, it's your second month. Thanks for all you do. Oh, I appreciate that, Dwight. I do the best I can. I do the best I can. I don't know. I don't think sometimes it resonates. Sometimes with just how important the charting is. It's funny. It's funny how things work. Today I'm being very direct and people just leave. Because they just want an influencer to say it's going to go up to $100. Otherwise, they just leave. Which is always interesting. Very interesting. Mark Castman, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. Along with CJ2 Pilot. The Gatman, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands Badge. Excellent. Arichi Farms and Amanda, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Dennis Smith, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Ali, Tom, this is straightforward. Running or expanded flat pattern is in play. Yeah, it's indeed. Kawabunga, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Living Riches, where do you think CRO is going from bull run to bear run back to future bull run after adoption? Let's see. That's a loaded question. I mean, how are you focusing on bear to bull to bear? I don't understand. It's still in the same cycle. Right now, CRO, when it dropped down to 8 cents, I mean, that was an opportune moment. When it dropped down into those areas, I mean, that was nothing that we didn't see. Yeah, Trump talked about it, but at some point it was going to come out and break through this expansion. But I mean, right now, like we said yesterday, the possibility is maybe 30 cents if it, or 29 when it gets on top of here. I mean, I don't know how this is going to run with CRO because it technically put in a huge flag, and this, we don't know if it comes all the way up to 55 or 60 and then wants to retrace again. But what it did here coming all the way down to 26 was a big pull down. Could have come down a little bit farther towards 23, but I mean, it came down a big stretch here. I don't necessarily think it would probably just break out. I think it would probably at the end of the weekend come back down, but who knows? It's got a nice reversal here. And if it stays above 29.6, it could very well start shooting out again. The volume did exactly what it was supposed to do on the breakdown. Crashing price while the volume was crashing while the price crashed. That's a recipe for a bullish continuation when that kind of stuff starts happening. Now we need to see a volume spike here in one of these candles to solidify that move. If it stays flat like this, it probably won't be able to make a new high. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We don't know what kind of follow-through we're going to get. So, and for all intents and purposes, with how fast it moved up here, you know, we honestly don't know. There's so much volume coming in. There's a lot of volume coming in. XDC came down to that 7.2 to 7.5 area. I pushed this up to 7.5 because of where it hit. But it was down to technically 7.2 to the 7.5 area is what we were targeting. And then if it breaks through that little stretch, then you're talking about 5.5. We know we had some news for XDC. Now, if the market continues going down, this would be end up acting as nothing as a back test for the breakdown from that area. So we'll have to see how this pans out. But it came down to at least the within range moment of 7.5 to where maybe it can hold it, but the technical drop was around 7.2. So we'll see what ends up happening here. DB, good morning. Maritime, welcome in. Ali, welcome. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Alonzo says it pays a lot to be early and just hold way less stress. Yes, it definitely does help. It also helps to be early because then you can take profit during the tops of bull markets. And then as it shuffles around to see if the bull market's going to continue into more of a parabolic spike, or if you go back into a bear market, you have firm control. Absolutely firm control. Maritime, welcome, and I'm guessing if it drops below $2, that will be a great opportunity. Again, for me, XRP, the time to buy is under $1, and more particularly under 50 cents. For us, I mean, we were saying before under 40 cents. But now you just don't know where it's going to level off. You just don't know. The first real opportunity is around $1.92 according to the chart. If you're going to take a shot, but I'm not at $1.92. I don't buy it when it's this expensive, even at $1.92. The only thing you can do with XRP when it gets to these prices is get in trouble. And that's just because it's so volatile. That doesn't mean you're not going to do great even if it goes down. I'm just saying, you know, if we sat here for 4 years when it was sub 50 or 3 years, there's no reason to think that at $1.92, $2.80, that it's a good deal just because it fell 40% from the top. You know, or because it chose a cup and handle, that's great. But again, if you were a fan of XRP and you were watching it prior to the breakout in November of 24, I mean, you're talking about getting it anywhere between 38 and 60 cents for an extremely long period of time. So, I mean, you want to talk about extremely elevated from those prices, but with a fucking beautiful macro look, that's kind of where you're at right now, because you could find yourselves down 40% on XRP at any given time with prices where they're at. That doesn't mean it's not a good buy long term, but I just think there's better opportunities out there. That if that makes me a bad person, I'm the horrible being. 1970 Legend, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army. For over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, and also a very, very trusted mod. I really appreciate that, 1970 Legend. A fellow Buckeye down south, well, not a fellow Buckeye, but our arch rival here in Michigan. But Ohio State plays Texas here at noon, and that's going to be interesting. It's the first time ever in college football that the #1 ranked team is an underdog in week 1. My question is, if Ohio State's playing Texas and they're favored, and Ohio State's the defending national champion, why is Texas #1 and Ohio State's #3? If they're favored, they're the defending champion, don't you think they should be #1 then? And why would they not even be #2? The rankings are so weird in preseason. Let's jerk off, you know, Steve Sarkisian and Texas when they haven't improved a damn thing, and they typically suck when it comes to the big games. They prove it every year. I'm not sure what they did to earn #1. Maybe because they have a big payroll. But I don't even think they're going to make the championship this year, let alone be #1. They're not even going to probably win their own conference. Let's see. Bro, guys, you guys don't have to delete those messages. I don't mind. You have been wrong too many times, bro, and no offense, whenever it's dipping, you quickly turn end of the world mode. Fair enough, but, that's, I mean, you can go through the history and that would just make you look like a jackass, but hey, to each their own. To each their own. It's, but no, I don't turn bearish right when it goes bearish. I actually turn bearish before it goes bearish. All you have to do is go look back at the videos. It's very easy. But there's a lot of cheap talk, I understand. Florida Attorney, welcome in, and thanks for continuing to tune in. Live and Riches. How do you think the upcoming total lunar eclipse will affect the world on September 7th? I don't know. You guys can deal with your astrology stuff. I just look at the charts. Lonzo Turner XP, way too expensive for me. My buys right now will be XPR and Loan Protocol Metallicus. Still great buys to be early still. Interesting. I like both of those ideas. Oh, I'm sorry, Cowabunga. I didn't know you were talking to somebody else. I just caught up. My bad. My bad. That's what happens when I try to go through 800 comments at once. No offense, Cowabunga. Hey, you just gotta let me catch up to the comments. I apologize. You know, sometimes when you're reading stuff and it's in a line. Noted. Noted. Let's see. 1970. So was I, and a lot of people. Let's see. Crypto Cooter, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom Zone for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. And also being a very trusted mod. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. We need mods. Mods are good. But let people talk. I don't care if they offend me. You can let them talk. Let's see. A lot of you bought at 30 and 60 cents, sold to, and no longer have XRP will regret it. I don't know who you're speaking to, Marytime, if you're saying that. I don't know if I don't know what some people are under the impression of what I have personally done. So I'm not sure why, and I'm not even sure if somebody held it at 30 to 60 cents, why they would regret it if they sold it and took profit at 10x. I'm failing to see the logic. But if somebody sold, they bought XRP at 35 cents, they sold at $3, and then they bought something else that ends up outperforming XRP, do they still regret it? Or is it just you're going to regret it because XRP could go up to $5, $10, $50, $100, $6,000 a token? Hey, buddy. I'm just trying to understand. Let's see. If we keep going down, it's James Dooley's fault. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. Guys, listen. If I'm talking and I accidentally offend you, I apologize. You know, but there's so many things to go through that sometimes I misspeak. I see things the wrong way. You don't have to just leave. This is how you adults see what happens in real world now is once we get offended, we can't just follow through. Like, I apologize, Calabunga, but you don't need to leave. If it makes you leave and this is just the end, so be it. But, like, you know, if you guys are watching me, I shoot straight. So sometimes if I see something and sometimes I apologize, you know, that's what happens. But put yourself in my position. 9 times out of 10, I'm getting ridiculed. So, you know, sometimes when you see something, it's like, all right, well, it's not that I'm trying to defend myself. I'm just saying the importance of technical analysis. So, like, and then, you know, I guess it's just, it is what it is. It is what it is. 1970 Legend, thank you for the $9.99 donation. I greatly appreciate that. It says, Go Bucks, game going to be interesting. Wrestling Texas wants revenge. Oh, yeah, it is. It's going to be a very interesting game indeed. Got to run and get to a game party. Have a good one. Yes, indeed. Enjoy that party. It's going to be a real interesting game. I'm actually torn. I'm torn on what I think. Oh, it's going to be an interesting game. Good luck with that. Have fun at that party, my friend. The defending national champion. The defending national champions. Let's see. So, at the finish line, it's going to be a lot of regret when we take off at the point of no return. Buckeye Nation, Michigan is north until you smell it, and west until you step in it. I love the Buckeyes. I love the Buckeyes. What if we push back above 280 and hold? Well, I mean, that's how you would keep yourself from breaking down. There's no guarantee it breaks down yet. We're just on the downside of it. You know, it's if it breaks down. If we can get back above 312, and I keep saying it within everything, we can break out the 389. So we honestly, it's just right now where it's at with that engulfing candle to the downside. It gives you a little bit of you feel a little bit of pressure is all once it gets below that area. And then if it carries on, then that's how you can get down into the lower areas. But if it doesn't carry on, well, yeah, you get back above that area, you get back on top of 282 and you start pushing up. Well, then we can start pushing out in real time and try to get up to 308 now. And then you get over that and all's good. That's when you don't. You're the best guy. Live and Riches says, thank you for being you. You are the best guy on YouTube for the Daily Today. Yeah, but sometimes I feel like I I awfully offend people on accident. You know, just by talking. Today I came in with a very strong mindset of just get the information out, no BS, and just get it out. You know, because we're at that point where I can't be mincing words, and then I offend people, and now I probably lost members of Tom's Army, and then people will probably unsubscribe to the channel, and that goes with the territory, but that also is what happens when you speak the truth. And then you just kind of speak through some stuff, and then it also happens when you're 15 minutes behind on comments as well. You know, that happens as well. Then you kind of get, you know, you say things in the wrong because you can't read through every last detail. Lonzo says the new GTA game is said to have real cryptos integrated into it. I've heard that. That would be very interesting. That would be the next part of I don't want to say the meme sphere, but the gaming sphere, so to say. I love having my son's music on in the background too. It's soothing. We listen to this every day, all day when he gets in his piano mode. Let's see. Cannabis Podcast, thank you for the $1.99 donation. Also, in times I have 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Awesome. Confidence Prime isn't for the weak. I guess not. Every time we drop 5 to 10%, but 2 days later we're back up. We are back. Are we? Are you sure about that? I mean, yeah, we bounce back up, but then we end up further down than we started. So if you say we went up to 366, came down to 332 just to come right back up to 365 to go down to 297 to come back up to 333 to go down to 274 to go back up to 336 to come. But aren't we inevitably going lower? That's just taking the stairs down. Because in reality, it might seem like that, John, that we're bouncing back up. But in reality, if you look at the bounce up July 17th, we're at 364. And now you look at it on August 30th, and we're at 279. You know, so... Or you could go even farther back and be like, yeah, well, Tom, in July we were down at... And that's the way you can start doing it as well. But, I don't know. Tom, is it possible that XRP is a long-term hold? Yeah, from 35 cents it was. But now if you're saying it's a long hold from 340 and that's how you're going to get to the promised land, you might be surprised. Oh, define that would be so fun. Having the piano on in the background. Oh, that's awesome. Having a 3-day weekend makes you feel rich, Crypto Cooter. I like that. I like that. I think what makes us rich is the knowledge. The knowledge will make us rich. It does. It's the inclusivity. It's the fact that we can speak freely and try to figure this big game out. You know, that's what can make us rich. Rolling through the punches. Rolling through the punches. Even my false, you know, even if I punch you on the, and I'm wrong, you got to roll through them. If you guys punch me, I got to roll through them. I get punched more. I feel like Tyson hit me sometimes from an emotional and mental standpoint at times. When you talk to 45,000 people, you get a lot of different emotions. A lot of different emotions. Some people can't hear. Well, that's what happens, but I love it too. I don't know. 30 minutes. If ETFs get approved, though, it can easily go to 4 or 5. Do you remember what happened to Ethereum when it first got approved, the ETF? Do you remember what happened to Bitcoin when it first got approved with the ETF? They both cut by like 50% when the ETFs first got approved. So yeah, they'll eventually break out. But the ETF alone isn't going to do that. Sounds like a ye old saloon bar. It does. It does. I agree. I better stop talking and offending people. Otherwise, I'll have no audience left. Let's see. For Ethereum, what we could perceive as a rising wedge, it started to look a lot like Bitcoin, to where it's like, is it a rising triangle? Is it a rising wedge? But if this did break down and we don't retake this area, and when it comes back up, it's going to be slightly higher because of the timing. But we'd have to retake 4,500 or 4,600 area roughly. But if we do continue to break down, it's got a short target of 3,887. Crypto Scrooge, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge. Holy moly. Wow. That is unbelievable seeing people, especially Crypto Scrooge. That's unbelievable seeing you in here for over 4 years in Tom's Army. There is no better respect than seeing that. That's unbelievable. Thank you, Crypto Scrooge. G. Stott, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Says, good morning, tuning in with the missus from Texas Hill Country. Mrs. G. Stott, welcome, and also a member of Tom's Army. I'm glad to know that you're tuning in as well. Thank you both for tuning in. The Stotts, Mr. and Mrs. Stott. I love it. Marytime Matt, welcome in, says, you're not offensive, you shoot straight, and I think that is why people appreciate your content. I appreciate that perspective. Well, I mean, I think sometimes my own interpretation of me being offensive is when I'm a dick to the wrong person. Like Cowabunga. You know. Not reading through exactly in time. And then misrepresenting what he was saying. On accident, but still misrepresenting it because I didn't read everything that everybody had put. You see? That's what I mean. But, you know, offensive nonetheless. I offended Cowabunga, and that was not cool. Joy McCaffrey, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Also, a $5 donation. Wow, incredibly generous. And says, I'm still in DGB. Any insights on TA? Cheers time. Absolutely. So, DGB right now, much like most of the other patterns, it still hasn't invalidated the inverse setup. But it's getting very close to where it really needs to not break down here on this last part of the bear flag. Otherwise, we could find ourselves trying to wind ourselves back down at that 7.2. And it's ironic because we've been talking about 7.2 for XDC for a while. And it is 7.2, just 0072 for DGB, as to where it's 7.2 cents for XDC was that area. Well, in between 7.2 and 7.5. And then if it breaks down here, the problem is for DGB is that then you might be looking at a complete reset down to 4.3 because this pattern's still early. If it doesn't break on this uptrend and stay above it, technically this doesn't get through here on DGB, and it takes many years for this to bottom out here in like 28. So crazy. So that's why that 8.8 needed to hold. That's why if 8.8 didn't hold, I said that's the make it or break it point, at least for the short term. Because if it doesn't hold that, then you could find yourselves in a big mess with DGB. Because then if it comes to 7.2, hell, if it comes to 4.3. So now we got to see. Like, we're in legitimately no man's land here. And we're on a thinly traded weekend, so we could bounce out of here in a quick way as well. That's what's so rough right now. It almost did us a disservice on Friday to come down before the Chicago Mercantile Exchange closed. You know? Rudy, I'm glad I could give you something to yawn about. And I was waiting for you to say something interesting, but typical, just the typical generic bland stuff I see. Bitcoin also is giving us a lot of reasons that have cause for concern because it broke down out of a rising wedge as of right now. Unless it retakes 114,881, we're going to find ourselves in a very slippery slope. The next big support is at FVG at 91,495. Now, there are some small supports at 102 and 98 and 106 and these small levels. But the technical drop would suggest 81,500 out of what looks like a rising wedge breaking down overall. So, and Bitcoin's already hit our technical target in this bull market, in my opinion, of 122,186. That was our cup and handle target. Now, if this would have broke out to the bullish side, it could have went up to 143,800, but it seems to be breaking down towards 81,000. So we'll see. We'll see if that is the case or not. But it is definitely turning in a bearish direction. The total 3, which is the total crypto market cap of all cryptos besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, has started to rotate down a little bit in the daily. It gave away a good opportunity the day before, and it just kind of rotated. We're running out of steam right now. We've never had a back test technically of the breakout on this formation, and like technically, I mean, if it back tests all the way down, you could have a pretty substantial drop here. Now, we could say that, okay, well, we had a resistance, and then when you start to look at this a little bit, you could have it a little bit higher, which I'm not going to disagree with, because there is a stopping gap measure here. And it's kind of like what we showed with a few of the other charts as well. It depends how far you want to take this. So you're looking at 910, well, maybe a little bit lower. 903. If that fails, 821. So if this happens, laugh out loud, yes, I love you, Tom, but I get it. I get it. Hearing the actual analysis in front of you is kind of boring. It is boring because it's been stuck in the same area. I get it. You want me to, knock your socks off and say X, Y, and Z is going to happen and you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow? That would be exciting. That would be exciting. Papa Willie, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Says, most valuable lesson I learned from Tom is buying extra so when moves up, can take initial investment out and put it in something else. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can even take it a step farther, and if you have the collateral, let's say you bought XRP at 34 and you get a gift and it comes down to 38 like it did in 24 one last time, then you can buy a bag similar to your normal bag that you were going to hold, and then when it actually makes the parabolic spike, if you don't want to let go of it because that's just your baby, you can then get rid of it. You see? 1/2. But then you still have your normal amount. Rudy says, I lost 11,000 XRP in a scam, so I want it to drop. Oh, fucking A. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry, Rudy. That is, oh, man. That kills me every time I read somebody get scammed by somebody in crypto. That's a lot of XRP. I personally, why don't I take shorts on the way down? Because then it starts to alter the way I judge things. So I found myself actually, even if I was doing good in shorts, I would end up costing myself better positioning in long positions or accumulating that long position. I look at the charts different if I do that. Because then I'm looking for it to go down instead of looking for my accumulation. Now, what I do is I end up selling out when I have good gains before big drops, and then I end up paying myself, and that's equivalent to me shorting the market, and then I'll buy back in what I want while I've already paid myself. Now, there's not 100% of scenarios where I don't short it. There was a time about 3 months ago when I showed the Bitcoin short I had, and it did very well, but it was just the time. I don't typically like leveraging the market in a short. There's just reasoning behind it from a psychological standpoint, because what it does to me is it gets the gambling part of my brain going. So then when I start shorting it, I say, well, you're shorting it, why not put a couple X's on it? Or, why are you in any position then if you're going to short it? So then I'll end up liquidating something I might not want to because something else is going short. And then you got to remember, not everything does it at the same time. So you might short the market and be right, but you might have a 15% unexpected rise. Remember what happened when Trump came, or when they came out and said that they're probably going to cut rates in September? We had a huge pump in the market just to watch it go much lower than it was. So, these are all little reasons why I don't, because you just, it hits the wrong part. The bottom line is, it's not that I don't think I can be successful. It taps into the gambling part of my brain. The same part as when I bet on college football. The same reason why I don't have FanDuel up after the football season and the NBA playoffs are the only two things I bet on. But once that's over, I just end it. Once the gambling part of my brain is activated, then I start to do leverage too much, if I'm being honest. That's the best answer I can get. It's not because I don't think I can make money. I think it costs me money in other positions. So that's about as honest as I can be with that. Let's see. You can't get your XDC off BitUnit. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because some people are getting it off of there by changing the first letters when they send it to the wallet. But once you do that, it's no longer guaranteed if it gets lost. So I don't know. I never was under the impression on BitUnix you could get XDC off. That's one thing I kept saying. That in my experience, it's been almost impossible unless you change the wallet address when you're sending it to a wallet on the front end. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I have, but scared to buy in case it drops. I understand that, Rudy. I understand that. Man, that sucks. I hate that you lost those on a scam. Can I ask you a question, not to pry, but to try to help somebody, so your past mistake with the scam might be able to benefit somebody and it wasn't verbatimly lost? Like, what was the scam? Just so you can enlighten some people. See, this is why I would like to have the call-in feature. Like, I would have you call in, Rudy. I would have you call into the number, and then we could talk this out, and you could explain what happened. We could try to talk you back down and try to talk through a scenario. I'm not a financial advisor, and obviously this is for entertainment purposes only, but if we could help somebody else along the way, it would truly be beneficial, and I would be blessed. That's what I have in mind for a call-in feature. Like, we could have Rudy on the phone and we could go through this step by step. We could try to figure out a rational idea and try to exactly understand what caused the scam, so somebody else doesn't fall victim. And then it doesn't just happen, and there's no resolution, or at least it's not lost. There was just no reasoning behind it, XRP to 77 to 85. It could happen. Remember, there's that gap at 90. I keep telling everybody, there's so many gaps left open, and not all of them are filled. But there are some under 2 cents on XRP. In the worst case scenario, we've got like 1.8 cents it could go down to. So, and what ends up happening is, all these people and institutions and countries that are buying in, this could end up being an economical collapse. This could be the way that they end up bringing down the whole world, bringing down countries, and allowing them to now kneel in front of the USA again. Imagine, the USA created Bitcoin. There's Satoshi Nakamoto. It's not just one person. Anybody who believes that, I think you just don't understand yet. But imagine Bitcoin's the USA. They now create the world's largest Ponzi scheme, leveraging companies like MicroStrategies, in which they pay in tax reimbursements. If you just read through the tax credit, it's just a whole bunch of nonsense. But now they get all these different countries and businesses and entities. What's the single biggest capital grab the USA could make? Liquidate every single one of these people. But most people don't understand, all these people taking out loans against their companies to own Bitcoin, all the bank has to feel is distress when it comes to loaning out money for crypto purchases now, and they could call the loan. They could now. It's I wonder what happens if anybody's loans get called, or if the first time Bitcoin drops to 90,000 or 85,000. It's interesting. What did Rudy say? Rudy, I buy XLM when the price is right. I lost 20,000 XLM as well. I bought it. Oh my God, Rudy, what the hell happened? Oh my goodness. Wow. Rudy lost in a scam 20,000 XLM and like 11,000 XRP. Just trying to figure out how, so somebody else doesn't fall into the same trap. Sometimes it takes somebody else's mistake to save a whole bunch of people, and they end up being a martyr, so to say. But it's not in vain. We're trying to make sure this didn't happen in vain. Frankie, how is everything going? I know from a medical standpoint, I've been curious to know what ended up happening with you, Frankie. I'm glad to see you in here. Thank you for being in town for 6+ months with the XP Predictor, but I so greatly appreciate you being in here. And like for crypto, I mean, the fact we didn't get a back test yesterday, we should get some kind of back test during the thinly traded weekend. And maybe we can just bounce back up and above 282 and then just start rolling back up. Because this pattern, even if it breaks down or breaks out, technically still has time left until mid-September. So maybe we don't have to fall farther. Like, that's the thing. But if we continue to fall down, it becomes interesting, actually. JUK, thanks for being in Tom's 6+ months with the XP Predictor, says, the reason I joined Tom's Army is because of Tom's dedication to provide the community with the best and most recent information on the charts. His honesty, bull or bear, you really resonate with me, dude. I appreciate that, Jay. I do. I really appreciate that, my friend. Respect goes both ways. You put a test sample into the call center to test what it sounds. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Why am I not seeing what I want? Let's see. I don't know why I don't see it on here. I could be overlooking it. But we need to have it in real time. See, that's the thing. Like, sometimes it's not going to be able to go. See, define. This is what's going to end up happening, though. Sometimes, as much as I want to do it through the Telegram, sometimes, you know, you're not going to just be able to do it. Like right now with Rudy. Like, there could be an opportunity here to where it's like, Rudy, send me a message on you know, on my Gmail. I would send you my strutregalia@gmail.com. I give you a phone number, and then you could call in during the live. Like, that's what's going to end up having to happen. It would have to be something like that as well. So then there's a layer of me being able to control how many people see the exact number. Because once I put out a number, there's going to be so many calls that it's going to be hard to just pick one. So it's like you start to refine it, and you're like, okay, well, now we're looking at something like this. So IRAM says I lost 2,000 XRP and almost 20,000 XLM by trying to short the market. Total was close to 15,000 lost for my portfolio. IRAM, thanks for sharing that. That's another beautiful point of why I don't short the market as well. Because then you can start tapping into your long hold bags, and then you're like, well, let me just take out a few thousand tokens here. But then you start to spin out of control. Because then you lose some, and then you start to bet more of them to try to get back what you lost, and then it becomes a slippery slope. That's a great comment. I'm not happy what happened with you, and it saddens me, but at least you're helping others understand what can happen by shorting the market. That is so true. I appreciate you having the courage to share that, honestly. That's not easy to share. That is not easy to share. Garbanzo, I feel for you, brother. I was also scammed and lost 10,000 XRP. See, we're going to have a call-in section just on people being scammed in crypto, Julie. Like, that's what we need to do. We need to have a call-in section, and people are going to start sharing their scam stories in crypto, and we're going to try to help rebuild it. I think I'm starting to figure out a narrative that I want to go down here. This is something that I've always wanted to explore. So if I start the call-in feature, I think we need to focus on crypto scams to start. So you guys can hear how easily this happens. Oh, man. It's just so many people this happens to in crypto. And it's not just crypto, but in this space, It happens a lot. And we do a lot of work, and then people just steal from us. Sometimes it's the exchanges. Sometimes it's the wallets themselves. Yeah, let's take a look at the heat liquidation map, because I got to get going here in a minute. So I want to spend some time, because I'm going to my dad's in a little bit. I'm watching the Michigan game there tonight, but old Vincenzo's going to pick me up. I'm going to spend a little bit of time there because I haven't been at my dad's house for a while. So I want to spend a few hours there before the game starts. So I want to go to... Let's take a look at Ethereum real quick, and then we'll go to XRP. I want to look at it from the monthly, though. So this will be your heat liquidation map. Yeah, well, Vincenzo does a good job. So here's the deal, real quick. Probably, if I can do this properly tomorrow, I'm going to try to line this up. And if you've been scammed by crypto, please, if you've had a crypto scam, and this is how I'm going to start this, because I always do things my own way. Send me a message first at strutrugali@gmail.com. I'm going to pin this. If you have a crypto scam, send me a message through strutrugali@gmail.com if you want to talk, and you'll be the innovative talk. You'll be the first person to ever call into my show live and talk live on the air. I'm going to try to set it through my earpiece. No, it won't work like that. I might have to have you on speakerphone so that everybody can hear you, yeah. It might have to be on speakerphone so everybody can hear you. I've done this before when I actually called a scammer on the air a couple years ago. Some of you will remember. It happened to be Chase. And it was fun. But everybody could hear, so if you have something like that, please send me a message. If you're in the Telegram and you've been scammed, send me a message and we'll divulge onto it on the air. Do I have a way to detect AI callers? Yeah, by asking questions, I'll know if it's AI or not. So we'll figure it out. And if it seems like it's not something I want, ready? I'll click and go to the next call. It's simple enough. I'm back from the hospital. I have radio palsy. Slept with my arm against my desk and cut. Oh shit. Okay, well, I mean that's better than it could have been, right? Is that just a temporary thing then? He said, remember Frankie Fresho's hand was numb yesterday? He said he slept on his hand on his desk and it was radial palsy. Does that mean it's temporary?
I don't know.
Is that temporary then? Can last for a couple months. No feeling at all in hands or foot. Oh, wow. Yeah, but that's good news. I'm taking this as good news. Yes, that's good news. But make sure you get some rest. Make sure you work on the circulation part of it. Bending and squeezing, I'm assuming, would be good. Try to get the feeling back. A few months, that is a long time. Wow. Oh, good, good, good. I'm so happy to hear that. That's great news. I wasn't sure yesterday when you were describing it. You know, it makes you a little nervous trying to think about what it can be. In the monthly, Ethereum's got liquidation below. When you get to about 4,168, there's 669 million just at that point. So there's a lot of liquidation. 4,184, 740 million. You go even farther, you got more at 4,000, more at 3,500, which would be the bottom part of this pattern drop down if it actually broke down. We can see a head and shoulders form there as well, which kind of sucks. If we go above, you've got some liquidation at 4,748. That big liquidation pocket of the billion, it dried up because people are probably selling out now because their short position's paying off. So more liquidation below, though, it looks like, except for this pocket right here. You've got 3 separate areas, 4,100, 4,050 and 3,500 area on the way down. So JUK says, I'm forever grateful to you, dude. Your information has helped me make big changes in my life. I appreciate that. I'm so glad you're taking the initiative. Hey, it's not just me. I'm just giving you information that I know that I would desire if I didn't understand it. That's why I think it's not just crypto. It's more about understanding how to take advantage of the IRA, $7,000 a year, and writing it off. Taking advantage of gold and silver as a store of value that you never sell, and having mining stocks that you have speculative. And all these things. XRP has a nice liquidation area above. So that's why in some ways I'm hopeful that this pattern, it's just a fake out below right now, and then we can take it back. Because if you look at it above, there's a lot of liquidation at 316, which, yeah, you could technically say we cleared some out, but we didn't clear the 316. And then at 339 is the highest level still for XRP. In the monthly, that is. You know, so we've definitely created some liquidity above. So if we can avoid falling out from 280, we would definitely come back through that area. You know, we would definitely come back through that area. Even in the 2 weekly, you can see it up there at 313. But that resistance, there's a huge resistance there. So what we need to do to make this happen is just retake 282 and just take this properly instead of breaking down. If we break down, you got 256, and, you know, in the short term, if we get rejected at 282 on that little bear flag, that could actually solidify. And then the target is $1.92 on a breakdown. If we break up, the target's 389 if we can get out of this pattern. Maybe a little bit lower because we're moving farther on, so it'll probably be around 380. But you get the picture. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I'm going to go. Thank you all so much for everything. I can't wait to have this call-in feature. Make sure you send me, you know, your crypto scam. You know, we'll debrief each other so we know what's going on, at least so that I can tell that it's real. And then you'll be able to call in live, and we're going to do this properly. And it's going to be about crypto scams, and then we'll divulge into it deeper. You know, whether you're in your early stages of your journey or in the later stages, you can help somebody from the beginning to end. So it's going to be an all-inclusive call-in, and it's going to revolutionize it because it's going to go very quickly from we're just going to do me talking and you guys talking through the comments to all of a sudden probably 50% of the show is going to start to be callers. To where then I can make split content and I can just single out that part of the show and make new content off of it and have a 5-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation that can be shared outside of the live in its own content, and it can be, you know, caller, and it can be just number one, and we can go all the way through. So it's going to be more podcast style for sure, while still incorporating